was a pretty eventful weekend, all things considered, wasn't it? 10 o'clock. Hello and welcome to the Player Ratings Show for Chelsea 4, Tottenham Hotspur 3, an absolute slobber knocker of a game and an absolutely, well, coming from me anyway, a completely expected game. Not so much result, but game. Result in the way that Chelsea won, but not the, 4-3. But then I don't know. I just don't know anymore because before we get into the player ratings, please do like the video, subscribe, hit the bell notification, all that good stuff. But again, I digress. It was not a surprise to me that the game was as high scoring as it was. I've beat on this drum for a while now that Chelsea versus Tottenham or Tottenham versus Chelsea is the must-see fixture in Europe. Not just the Premier League, not just English football, but in Europe at the moment. Over the last couple of years, the last few years, even as far back as Battle of the Bridge, it has proven to be an absolute goal fest. Red cards, yellow cards, bad tackles, you name it. It has drama from start to finish, and especially over the last couple of seasons, more so. But again, last 10 years, last 7, 8, 9 years, it's been fantastic. And boy, oh boy, this game did deliver once again. Arguably one of the best games we've had between the two of us in this stretch of time. An absolutely fantastic game. Arguably one of my favourites now over the last 4 years. Probably since the Carabao Cup, probably since the Champions League final. I think that might be my favourite game that Chelsea have played in. But again, I digress. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Let's get into the player ratings for this game. And let me zoom out here so you can see my mush. I have got a haircut. I haven't done my hair, so you'll have to allow the the sides. A bit choppy on the sides, but I have literally just got back from getting my hair cut. As you can see, the starting 11, we're not going to change it too much in the sense of the formation. I know this isn't exactly the formation that we played. I'm gonna just quickly get it up, but pause. More or less, this is how we played. Caicedo was down the right. Colwill, Badiashile, Cucurella, blah, blah, blah. We're going to start off, and I'm going to take this off and put, no, that's predicted, and we got player ratings here. I'm going to move that up there so that we can see this fucking guy. I've had enough, personally. I've completely and utterly had enough, and I'm not even going to give him the opportunity to be green and give him a low score. He's going to be red and have a low score, and I don't even know if he's the lowest scored on the game. He is. It's hard to even justify a 2 because he didn't do anything good. I'm going to give him a 0. And I know if you've been watching these long enough, you'll know I always harp on about I want to be fair and like it's realistic ratings and all that sort of thing. I'm fucking sick of this guy. I'm sick of this guy. I don't give a fuck what statistics he has for like the clean sheet. He doesn't have there was there's definitely one statistic out there at the moment where it's like he's the second best in Premier League or in Europe for this specific fucking thing. The eye test doesn't lie. He stinks. He is terrible. His distribution is fucking pants. He can't save a shot to save his life unless it's like one that is just absurdly fucking spectacular and you can't always rely on him to actually make the save. But when he does, like I say, it is just the craziest save you've seen in ages. But I don't want that. I want consistency. Sanchez, I've had enough of you. You bring nothing but stress to our lives. You are, without shadow of a doubt, the biggest downside to our squads in a side that there were players, of course, and we'll get into that shortly. It's not going to take long to get to those that were detrimental to the squad again. But it's just, you cannot. You could afford, right? You could afford, I was saying this in the game yesterday, or in the watch along yesterday. You can afford for Jackson to have an off game or a stinker where he doesn't score and he doesn't really do much, like the game, against Tottenham. He was losing the ball. His hold-up play was a little bit shabby as well, and it just wasn't great. He didn't have a good game. But that's okay, because we had Sancho, we have Palmer, we've got Enzo Fernandez, we've got Neto, we've got all these players, we've got Madueke, we've got Mudryk, whoever. We've got players in positions that can still score goals. Sanchez, there's only one goalkeeper. And if you're having a fucking stinker, the whole ship is off kilter because of that. Now, obviously, the defense can help. What's the word? Keep that at bay. Try their hardest to fill the gaps, and try and keep the opposition away from the real weakness on the ship. But then you've got this guy who's just going full steam ahead into, well, not even. I think the analogy is that he's not going head first into the waves. When you're driving a boat, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you kind of want to go straight into it so that you don't capsize. Whereas if I'm going off completely, but he is allowing the boat to just capsize because of his downsides and his inability to pass the fucking ball properly. He's just, his positioning is terrible. The Solanke goal is going that way and he's diving the other fucking way. What are you doing? It doesn't make any sense. And it's not the first time he's done it this season where he's just gone completely he's assuming that the ball is going to continue going somewhere else instead of the logical place is that the striker coming in, not the near post, who's beaten Colwill easy as you like, is going to maybe just toe poke it in the back of the net. It's just a hunch, Sanchez. I'm no goalkeeper. I've never been a goalkeeper. But I'm just saying, decision making is fucking despicable. It really is. I'm going to move on to someone a little bit more positive before I move on to the next three clowns. But one not so much a clown as the others, even though he was fucking flipping and flapping and flailing all over the gaff. But we're going to change the colours to green. And Moise Caicedo, once again, just a solid performance. You can't really fault the geezer too much. Lucky to be on the pitch, many would argue. But I've seen the debates. I've seen the back and forth on, with regards to should he have been off, should he have been on. There wasn't enough momentum. I personally am of the mindset that if a Tottenham player had done that to one of our players, I would be screaming and shouting like a banshee. I would have been so annoyed if Son had done something like that, as reckless as that. And you could argue Kulusevski, I think it was, with the elbow into the head of Lavia. Should he have been on the pitch? Probably not. So I think we got one back. But Caicedo should. For me, I just don't think. It doesn't matter the intensity, which is the word that keeps being used, is forceful or not, or if that, he didn't glance him at all. He went straight onto his shin, and then, the majority of the intensity and the power went into the ground, which you could see. It was only a split second that it was studs up on the shin, but it was still studs up on the shin. So apart from that, I thought it was fantastic. Nearly cost us the game, I think, though, if that was a red card, because I think we were just about finding our feet, and that would have absolutely fucked us into oblivion. Let me know your thoughts on that situation in the comments. I remember when I was doing the watch along yesterday, everyone else in the chat was like, what? What? How is that not a red card? How is that not a red card? I don't understand. Studs up on the shin, really clean contact. I don't know. Happy it wasn't, obviously, but I'm just bewildered that Caicedo is just as reckless as he is. Despite all of his positive attributes, he is such a reckless bastard, isn't he? He's such a rough player at times. Now, I don't know if they should be in this order, but it's Tweedledee and Tweedledum for me personally. I'm just like, these three were just so bad yesterday. And I know that there's going to be people that are defending Colwill because they just love Colwill. I love Colwill, but he was shit. He was so poor. Badiashile just as bad, if not worse. I think the thing with Badiashile was it was so much more obvious because the passing was so much more, and the focus is so much more on him because he is the worst defender out of them. And that probably is true, but it just, the passing was terrible and the movement was terrible. The pace on the ball was terrible. His confidence on the ball was terrible. Everything was so bad. I do think overall, though, for the entirety of the game, it was fairly neck and neck for just how bad they both were. In terms of statistics, 68 touches, 7 passes into the final third, the tackles 1, 2 out of 4, 50% tackles ratio, 2 out of 4 for a centre-back in a game that was 4-3 is absolutely... Hang on, what's Colwill's for this? Tackles 1. 0. 0 out of 0. He didn't make a tackle. Colwill didn't make a tackle in this entire game. Okay. Am I just, is that a positive for the midfield? I mean, you're looking at the Colwill, for me, should have been doing better with Solanke. Obviously, very good striker play from Solanke to get round him at the first place, but letting your man get round you to get to the near post and poke it in was shocking defending. Shocking defending. Badiashile, we've already gone through. He was terrible from out of the majority of the game. But Colwill, I think, even with the second Cucurella slip, just in no man's land again, and it's just so many times it just seems like he's just there like, ooh, where's the ball? Who's meant to be tracking him? You were fucking meant to be tracking this bastard. I'm gonna be harsh, I just think it's true. And I know most people will be like, there's no fucking way Colwill was worse than Badiashile, and I do tend to agree. However, again, for the majority of the game, I think they were just as bad as each other. And it was just so much more obvious with Badiashile because some of the stuff he was doing was so bad on the ball, whereas Colwill off the ball was just so fucking terrible as well. Again, let me know your thoughts, but I just don't. I can't think of any positives in that game because the negatives were so clear. I'm probably forgetting any positives that were from either of them. Cucurella got an assist, I think, was for the Enzo. No, not for the Enzo goal, for the Sancho goal. Don't really count it. I think Sancho did pretty much all the work in that goal, and fantastic goal at that. 2 slips, unforgivable, really, and I would argue lucky, very lucky to I'm not giving him a 0, but lucky to have gotten away with that, with two slips leading to 2 goals is just fucking outrageous, especially against Tottenham of all teams. I will say after that, he was absolutely fantastic once he changed his boots, but there's no way he could be any higher than like a 6 for me because of the downsides, because of the slips. He could have easily, if without the slips, he could have easily been like a 7.5, maybe even an 8. But I just, God, I'm really fond of Cucurella as well. Like, people think I've got some agenda against him, but I fucking love Cucurella. I think he's absolutely fantastic. I forgive him because it was all well and good in the end, but don't ever let that happen again, for the love of God. And don't blame the kit manager, for Christ's sake. That was so out of order. It was so out of order. Because there's literally training footage of him before the game, training in those boots that he was slipping around in, and he was the one that was like, yeah, they're great. They're great. 2 players as well that were great were Romeo Lavia and Fernandez. Fernandez's goal, just brilliant, fantastic. City, 9 goal contributions in 6 games. He just continues to get better and better every single game. I'm going to give him an 8 purely because of his inclusion in the game. I thought he was brilliant. And I'm going to give the yellow cards. It wasn't really too bad, was it? On I can't remember who it was on, but I remember the foul. It might have been Kulusevski again. The fucking guy was everywhere. I'm leaning between 7 and 7.5, but I'm going to go with a 7. I thought he was really good. And I just loved I love watching Lavia play. I really do. I really do. He's such a joy to watch. Another joy to watch is, of course, Cole Palmer. And people will argue, wow, he's only scored 2 penalties, but it's the way he scored the penalties. I couldn't give a bollocks. He is, without a shadow of a doubt, the man of the match in this game. I think Sancho, who we're going to go on to in just a second, is a very close second, but he's just fucking class, isn't he? He's just so good. And he just wins games. He just wins games, and it is 2 goals and an assist. Really, I know it was a shot, but it still landed into the feet of Enzo, and he's just constantly involved. Again, I've said this. I tweeted it today. And said that even Palmer at his average is most players' best on many occasions, because even when he ghosts or he plays underperforms, he still scores or still gets an assist. And I'm not even talking just penalties. He doesn't just score penalties when he ghosts. He still manages to score goals. And that is the kind of player you need in your squad if you're going to be challenging for the title. I'm not saying that we're challenging for the title this season, but he's just so instrumental, influential for this side, and he just sort of galvanizes the squad to kind of replicate how well he's playing. And they're like, I can't let this kid, blow me out of the water every single game. I'm going to have to up my game. And it makes all the players around him want to play better. Which is probably why you see Jackson upset yesterday that he didn't score and he got taken off. Dying to score against Tottenham. It's what Chelsea players want to do, So Palmer, absolutely fucking brilliant. I'm giving him a 9. Neto, I'm going to go. I thought he was fantastic for the entire game. I'm going to give him a 7.5. I would agree that a lot of people are just like, he's very slow. He looks like he should be going so much faster than he is, but he is actually quite slow, and I do tend to agree. At least on the ball, he just looks quite slow, doesn't he? Who was it? Someone said that someone was saying that Neto's faster than Mudryk, and I don't know if they were joking yesterday, but obviously it's not true. But he's just... He's everywhere, and seeing him celebrate the way he did when Enzo scored was just so like he's proper Chelsea already. He's already bought into it, and I love it, and I want to see more of him, and just see him play all the time, and get more goals, get more assists, and just he just seems like he understands it. You know, I can see him having a really good, fruitful career at Chelsea Football Club, and you know, only 24 years of age. I thought he was brilliant yesterday, and really hard to criticise him too much. Can't quite remember what his yellow card was like, but all is forgiven. I love me a bit of Pedro Neto. Someone else I love is Jadon Sancho. I think he gets criticism for the sake of it. I don't understand why people seem to think he's had a shit time at Chelsea, even though this is like one of his first goals, if not his first goal. I think he's been ill for part of it. He was injured, but then ill. And in the games he's played otherwise, I think he's been fucking brilliant. I don't understand it, personally. I'm going to give him an 8.5 for this game. I think this is arguably one of his best games at Chelsea. And I think him and Neto have more or less secured their first team places in the squads. I think Madueke is he's gonna struggle to maintain any sort of apart from Enzo Maresca's love for Madueke. I think that's the only thing really keeping him afloat, and then obviously coming off the bench and doing well. But Sancho and Neto are just so good. They're so good. I think Madueke is going to struggle to stay afloat in the race to try and, you know, get that first team spots. But then again, it changes so often, you know. Neto can't play all the time at the moment because his fitness and everything like that. I don't know if that's still something that's affecting him, but for the most part, I do think it's going to be Neto and Sancho with Palmer, Jackson up top. And speaking of which, I want to mention honourable mentions, I guess, or just mentions in general. Doesn't really matter. Gusto didn't do anything really. Well, I mean, he had a whole second half, to be fair. I thought he was solid. Wasn't bad, but it wasn't really like overly impact. Felix, Vega, Madueke, same goes for them. They barely had any minutes. And Christopher and Nkunku, 14 minutes or so, whatever it was, with the additional time. Not very much of an impact. Someone who didn't have an impact at the same time was, of course, Nicholas Jackson. Just a real bad day at the office for him, I think. He kept losing the ball. Hold-up play was pretty fucking bad. And I just... Do you know what? I'm not going to do gold for that. I'm going to do it sort of like light blue. There we go. Much better. Because I want to give... I'm still going to give him a green. I can't be asked for all this color coding, really. I'm going to give him a 6. I'm going to give him a 6 because... I don't know. Yeah. Well, no, I can't go any lower than a 6. I just think he's had better games. It was just one of those... It was one of those quintessentially bang average Jackson performances where nothing seems to go right. Hold-up play was terrible. Passes weren't fantastic. There were a couple of times where Neto was like just storming as fast as he could with his little old legs down the right-hand side. And Jackson just needs to release the ball, pass it. And it's too late, or it's not enough on the ball. And Neto has to like fucking, you know, delay his run a little bit more or track it back or whatever. I just think there were certain instances in this game that Jackson, he knew he wasn't playing well. And I think that's more the frustration, not so much coming off, but he didn't play as well as he would have liked to, considering how well he played against Tottenham in the reverse fixture last season, you know. With that said, I'm going to give Maresca a fucking 10 out of 10, realistically. He can't be blamed for Cucurella's mistakes, you know, but at the same time, the defence from everyone else around in that death triangle, you need to maybe work on what happens when you're out of possession near the goal in the final third. So it seemed like we didn't have a fucking clue what to do in that final third defensively. 2 times it happened, identical more or less, and we were none the wiser. Absolutely no better off after the first one with the second one. Timo Werner had no impact, which was good. But yeah, there we go. A 0, a big fat fucking niche for Robert Sanchez. Caicedo with a 7, Cole with a 4, and Badiashile with a 3. Let me know if that's harsh in the comments down below. I might be a little bit too frustrated with them to I mean, you could justify a 4 and a 5, I guess, but I'm going to be harsh, I think, with this. Kukurea with a 6. Again, just really was so good in the after he changed his boots, but before then he was verging on a 0. He fucking was on the cusp of a 0. Enzo with an 8, Lavia with a 7, Palmer with a 9, Neto with a 7.5, Sancho with an 8.5, and Jackson up top with a 6. With that said, another game in the bag, and yeah, I'm happy. I really am. We've got Astana next in the Conference League. I will, of course, be doing a preview for that game. Maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. It depends, because the game is at such a strange time. I want to make sure that it has plenty of time to sort of do its thing. I'm so out of focus, for fuck's sake. What's going on? There we go. So we've got Astana on Thursday for a 3:30 kickoff. I'll be live from 3 p.m. UK time. We've got Brentford on Sunday. We've got Shamrock Rovers next Thursday. We've got Everton the Sunday after that, or next Sunday. We've got Fulham on Thursday, and then Ipswich on Monday, the 30th of December, which I will not be around for, unfortunately. I'm going to try and figure something out. Don't you worry about that. I'm away with family, but I might be only live on TikTok, but I'm going to try and figure something out, because I just can't miss a game. I might have to, but you never know. With that said, let me know your thoughts on the player ratings that I've given, and also give me yours in the comments down below. A fantastic win for Chelsea Football Club. It really is. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 10 o'clock. Please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell notification to be notified of any future content on the channel. My name is Harry Up the Chelsea, and peace.